For the show, Dakoda.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You're going back to kind of where it started for you in the truck series with Thorsport Racing, going back to Iowa. Tell me about Iowa as far as your experiences there. I know you did real well there when you ran in the ARCA series. I know last year when you got there in the trucks, not as good of a finish as you wanted, but talk to me about your experiences there and how much you like racing there.
Oh, it's obviously it's a very unique track, being 7th, 8th like it is, and then the progressive banking and the speeds you carry, it's not quite big enough or fast enough to be considered intermediate, but it's not, slow enough to be considered a short track, so it's got a good, mix of both of them in it. And, the racing seems to always be pretty well. You can always get 2 grooves out of the racetrack, but it's a little bit of a trickier place. You got to, get it right and, hit it, but it's a lot of fun to drive and it's a pretty fast place.
Tell me about the season so far and the progress that you feel that you've made in your first full year at Thorsport, driving that 98. Do you feel the progress is as much as you thought you were going to have throughout the year?
I feel like I've learned a lot and, a lot more than what I need. I feel like the progress, hasn't shown, in our finishes yet, but I think we're getting there. It's just, this series is, pretty tough, and these trucks are all pretty close together, so, you're fighting for everything you can just to be, just half a stint quicker than, the next guy. So, it's just, it's a tough series, but I think, we're working on it, being a new team, getting everybody, in the pit crew experience, getting me more experience, and what I feel like I need each and every week, one of our main deals. But, I'm glad that we can go back to a track that, we've been to before, and hopefully have a good run like we need.
We're talking to Dakoda Armstrong, driver for Thorsports Racing in the Camping World Truck Series. Dakoda, you're going to Iowa, which anytime NASCAR goes to Iowa Speedway, that's a big deal for those folks in that area, and the Camping World Truck Series is almost as big as it gets for them out there. Tell me a little bit about what your weekend's going to be like. You must have probably more responsibilities when you go to an area like that, I would think, because you guys are the big deal.
Yeah, the fans out there are great. It's one of the few places left where it's just, packed
Yeah.
when you go there, and they always do a good job of, they let us go out and sign a whole bunch of autographs for the fan in every autograph session. No matter how much time the autograph session is, people get cut off. There's just so many people there, and so it's really cool to have those fans come out and support all of us like that. But I think being that everyone out there wants Cup to come, but hopefully they come out and support us and the nationwide when they come up. So hopefully one day they'll get their wish.
Well, that's kind of my question. Do you feel more of a responsibility when you go to a place like Iowa than you do, at Daytona, for example? Daytona, Camping World Truck Series is a major racing series, but it's not Cup and it's not nationwide, and those folks in that market are used to seeing those guys around, but this is different.
Yeah, for sure. We always want to put on a good show, and I feel like the Truck Series always puts on a good show everywhere they go. We always get compliments about that and how hard the racing still is, and so I'd say we try harder, but I don't think you can try much harder than everyone in the Truck Series tries. So we always try to put on a good show, and there's always a little bit of getting together. So it was a fun place, and I know everybody's looking forward to going there. So it should be fun.
We're talking to Dakoda Armstrong, and Dakoda, Steve and I have been talking earlier in the show about Brian France came out this week and said that there were shorter races in the Sprint Cup Series future, with the unsaid thing that that was going to make the racing better. You're racing in a series that runs 200-mile races, 250-mile races, and is it? We watch that series, and it's the best racing every weekend when it comes to NASCAR. But how much more intense is it because you're at 250 miles than it would be if you were running those trucks for 400 miles, for example?
Well, for one thing, is you got to be right. Right off the get-go.
Right.
You don't. like 200 laps is what we'll run here, in Iowa. And yeah, that seems like a lot, but in reality, it's really not. You get a good 70-lap run, and then you pit once, and then maybe you'll get a pit again, one more time. So, most races you're pitting 2-3 times max a race to make changes. So, you don't have a lot of time to make it any better in the race. You got to be pretty good right off the get-go. And one thing is, there's not that anyone in the Cup Series ever rides. I'm sure they always are, fighting each lap, get as much of the position. But it's even more of a critical, in the Truck Series with how short the races are. You have to be up front and be able to put yourself there in the position. So, I've always grew up racing short races. 50 laps, sprint and midget features, 40 laps. So, I'm used to the shorter races for sure.
Does it make it much more important for you then to qualify well in a truck race than it does for some of these other guys who are running the longer races? I would have to think that qualifying, especially someplace like Iowa where it may not be extremely easy to pass, you have to, like you say, you have to be right from the get-go and be able to practice well and qualify well.
Yeah, and when we sit down and have our meetings, about our number 98, that's our main focus. We're not worried. I wouldn't say we're not worried about the racing, but we want to be better in practice, because that obviously leads into better qualifying efforts. And when you're running up front, obviously it's easier to stay up front than it is to get to the front. So, that's one thing that we're always striving for. And these trucks, they're probably one of the hardest things I've ever been in to pass because they're just so equal and they're so heavy and they're so under horsepower for how heavy they are. You got to be good at all you got, and it seems like every time you pass somebody, the guy in front of you pulls another 4 truck lengths away. So then you waste 8 laps trying to run him back down, and 8 laps in 200-lap race is a long time just to pass one more guy. So
sure.
It's definitely fun racing, and you have to give it your all every lap.
Well, we will be watching the race this week out at Iowa. Best of luck to you in the Everfi Tundra, the number 98. Everybody will be watching you, so hopefully you can get that win out there, and it'll be a lot of fun to bring that trophy back to the Midwest, to Northeast, Northwest, North Central. I don't know exactly where Sandusky is. I know where Sandusky is because I've been there, but I don't know if it's called – is it North Central?
I would call it
the lake area.
Yeah.
There we go. We'll go with that. But Dakoda,
North Coast.
North Coast. That's what we're going to call it from here on out. North Coast. All right. Do you guys from Thorsports? I got to ask you this. Do you guys go over to Cedar Point and have a big outing every once in a while? Take everybody from the race shop?
Yeah, we actually did one time with Speed. And they all came over and we all rode some roller coasters. Johnny on the 13 car or truck was really he wasn't one to get on any of them. We dragged him on one of them, and it was pretty comical. But so we go over there, and all the guys try to get over there when they can. But it seems like we slave drive and keep them trying to work on these trucks, so they don't get over there a lot. But it's a fun place for sure.
All you got to do with Sauter to get him on a roller coaster is give him a steering wheel, and just have him hold it in his lap. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He feels like he's in control. He'll be all right. That's right.
Yep, that's what it's all about. Hey, Dakoda, have fun out there in Iowa. We'll talk to you again, man.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Right. That's Dakoda Armstrong. You follow him. He will be in the number 98 Everfi Tundra for Thorsport Racing.
Toyota Tundra.
Toyota
Tundra.
All right. Toyota. Did you sell any Toyotas while you had no power?
Stop. Yeah, I did actually. I was the only one. I was the only guy on the Central Avenue Strip that sold a car on Friday. I guarantee you.
Wow,
yeah, people from Cleveland. People, it was 100 degrees. There's no air conditioning, no electricity, no way to do this. And these people pull up in front of the dealership about 12:30, and I look at like, oh man, I don't want to. I walk outside. It was literally one of those things. You don't really want to buy a car, do you?
Do you?
Well, they came from Cleveland specifically to see this car. I said, okay, well, let's go through the motions and.
So you made it happen.
I made it happen.
Well, good for you. All right, we're going to take
make it happen at Jim White Toyota on the Central Avenue Strip
in Toledo, Ohio.
There you go.
All right, we're going to take our
419-841-6681.
Or the website is
JimWhiteToyota.com.
There you go. We're going to take our bottom of the hour break. When we come back, we have another open segment. So maybe another rant is in the offing. This
you
is
got
on
one?
Pit Row.
Oh, the fastest show on Ustream TV.
Hey, this is Larry McReynolds.
Hey, this is David Reagan.
Hi, this is Kenny Schrader.
This is Boris Sedge.
I'm Tony Stewart. You're on pit road. Take it from me, don't speed.
This is On Pit Road.
The bench